Sup, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I figured I'd talk to you guys about Warcraft's recent subscriber loss. I know that a lot of people kind of expected me to talk about this, and so I figured I would. Don't expect me to get angry, get upset, start yelling, start beating on my desk, anything like that. Honestly, I just got up a bit ago. I'm a little bit too tired to do that, but also it hasn't really helped me in the past, and so I figured I'd just do a real talk video and kind of tell you guys where I'm at, and just talk with you guys about the whole thing. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I've talked about before, and so that's why I'm probably not going to make it that long. Just going to talk about some of the basic stuff and make sure that I guess you guys know kind of where I'm at. And I mean, hopefully, on Thursday they're announcing a new expansion. Hopefully, some of these things will be addressed, but maybe not. I don't know. Before I really get into it, I do kind of want to explain what happened in the second quarter of 2015. Blizzard released its its quarterly earnings report. It's August 4th, and World of Warcraft has lost 1.5 million subscribers, and if you add that onto the 2.9 million subscribers that they lost in the first quarter of 2015, that comes up to 4.4 million subscribers, and started at 10 million, easy math. That's 44%, that's almost 50% of their entire player base they've lost in a half of a year. And honestly, guys, I didn't even expect it to be this high. And this 1.5 million, you also have to think that this is with the addition of the WoW token, and also with patch 6.2 being released, which probably brought back some people. And so even with these two big things that were supposed to retain people and bring people back into the game, they still lost 1.5 million subscribers. And so, I mean, when you think about that, that's like every other person almost in the game, that you would have seen in Stormwind 6 months ago, or Storm Shield or whatever. They're not there anymore, and they've quit the game. And I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about why I think it's happening. I'll give you guys like my honest opinion is that I don't really know if it's going to improve or not. I can't really say that the next expansion is going to solve all of our problems or not. I hope it does. Everybody hopes it does, but is that really what's going to happen? The way that they've been handling things, it doesn't really seem to be the case. And also, because they've already started development of that expansion, at about the same time they started development of Warlords of Draenor, it's not really a stretch to say that the same design principles that were in Warlords of Draenor will be implemented in the same expansion as well, considering they were announced and released, or not announced, but started development at roughly the same time. And so, at least that's what we were told. And anyway, I'm going to kind of tell you guys pretty much where I'm at, and I guess, where I think it's going to go. Now, the main thing is I do want to say before I get into this too much is that a lot of people say, well, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm still having a good time. Whenever you have 50% of the player base quit a game, that's also, 40 or 50 or probably at least 20% of the revenue that game gets is now gone. And so with that, that's that's money that would have been spent maybe on development, and that's money that they really can't justify putting back into the game whenever so many people are quitting and there aren't really as many people playing, just because of a cost return, and a return on investment really. And so it's really kind of it's important to everybody that we know what's really going on. And even if you're a person that's enjoying the game now, it's in your best interest that other people enjoy the game as well, so they continue getting more money so they can develop the game further. And that's the idea. A lot of people would say that, oh, well, they're not doing it, they're spending the money on other things. That's up for debate. I'm not really going to debate it though. All I know is that this is like really simple economics. Return on investment, when your investment is making maybe 30-20% less than it was, probably not doing too well. And so anyway, the first thing I really kind of want to say is that I went to Target the other day, and I walked by and I saw the World of Warcraft box, and it said something like, begin your adventure today, start your adventure, or something like that with an adventure. And it was like kind of bittersweet to me, and it made me laugh a little bit, because is it really an adventure? I don't really think that it is anymore. I think that once Mists of Pandaria came out and they revamped all of the zones, and especially in Warlords of Draenor, it's gone from being an adventure, the World of Warcraft, to I guess like the theme park of Warcraft, where it's basically you go to different menus, and you queue up for things, and you don't really have to run anywhere unless you're doing challenge modes or mythic dungeons. And as soon as you buy the game, the leveling portion of the game used to be a really big part of it. It would take months to level up, and I honestly thought that was a lot better, because the leveling up process not only taught you how to play your character and allowed you to make friends along the way, which we'll talk about later, but it also it gave you this very obvious, path of progression. It's like if you're level 5, you know what your goal is, and your goal is to get to level 6. If you're level 6, you need to get to level 7, and in the distant future, you can get up to level 60, 70, or 80, or whatever. Now, whenever you buy the game, you're automatically boosted up to level 90, and luckily enough, the Wards of Draenor questing experience has probably been one of the best it's ever been implemented into the game, and so that is really great. Like, honestly, I think that almost everybody really enjoys the Wards of Draenor questing experience, but the problem is it is still very linear, and you're told exactly where to go, how to kill the monsters. You're given more than enough gear to do it. It's nothing that's really ever challenging. It's not the same as it was in Vanilla and in Burning Crusade, where people kind of had to group up and they had to socialize and make friends and get in a guild and everything like that. And a lot of people, I guess, they want to say that they don't really want to socialize and they don't want to, make friends in the game or anything like that. Well, I think that's kind of like World of Warcraft is an MMORPG, and it's like playing Call of Duty and expecting to not have to shoot any guns because you're a pacifist. It seems like you're really kind of trying to make something into what it's not, and I don't really think that Blizzard should try and cater to all of these different types of people. Once you spread yourself too thin, there's like all these different little niche aspects of the game that everybody really wants to be catered to. So like there's like pet battles, PvP, solo progression, and like solo killing bosses, and all these little things that Blizzard kind of has to deal with. And creating a good single player experience, I think, is just a fruitless effort, because any real, like The Witcher 3, Skyrim, a game like that can just by default provide such a better single player experience than World of Warcraft does. Just because of the graphics and what it's built around. World of Warcraft has always been built as a social game, and whenever they have all these things that basically facilitate not having to socialize with people, and not having to have, what I think that really is that Blizzard really doesn't want players to have negative social experiences, like having their loot ninja'd, or having something being kicked out of a group, or having somebody call them like a piece of shit or a faggot or something like that. And so what they've done, instead of trying to or telling those people that, hey, that's just how other people do, and you're gonna have good experiences, you're gonna have bad experiences, that's just all there is to it, because it's life. Okay, like when you're dealing with real people, there's going to be good parts and bad parts, and instead of doing that, they've created different environments and situations where they've kind of thrown, I guess, the proverbial baby out with the bathwater, where you don't really have any negative social experiences, but you don't really have any positive ones either. And so, the times that, you might have been like, I don't know, it was like really late at night and you were doing like Dead Mines with your friends or something like that with your old guild in Vanilla or Burning Crusade or something like that, players now don't really have that experience. And because of that, there isn't really anything that ties them down to the game. People use 5.4 as an example of a content drought, and that's why a lot of people quit. In ICC, there was also another content drought. I made a joke, I remember, in a pug raid. It was like a GDKP. Everybody thought this was like a horrible joke, but I thought it was funny. Is that somebody could have literally had a fucking baby, okay, gotten pregnant and had the baby in the time that ICC has been out, and that wasn't even the end of it at that point. Like, it was almost out for a year or something like that, and people still never quit the game, and subscribers never went down. And I think that the big reason for that is that there were ways and things that were kind of keeping people in the game outside of just the carrots on the stick that Blizzard set out for you. Now you pretty much just are repeating the same raid over and over and over whenever you get up to level 100. So like I do want to kind of finish up my target example here. So I thought, like, what is really the adventure of World of Warcraft, and comparing what it is now to what it used to be. And so when you look at what it is now, you buy the game. This is a new player. You buy the game, and you're automatically boosted up to level 90. And so then you spend probably the next 2 to 3 weeks leveling up your first character from 90 to 100. After you reach level 100, you're sent over to Tannan Jungle, where you basically have 650 and 645 gear thrown at you, and 675 even, maybe get some of those little crystals. And so maybe you spend a week in Tannan Jungle. After you spend your week in Tannan Jungle, you're able to queue for LFR. Now, we're going to assume that LFR is out in its entirety, and so you can kill Archimonde and LFR basically, within a week of yourself killing the, or hitting level 100. And so what that really creates is that, so what are you really going to do at that point? After a player hits 100 and kills Archimond and LFR, there are a couple of things that they can really do. They can move on to higher difficulties that have basically just a different color palette of gear besides higher stats, or they could also do mythic dungeons or something like that, or PvP. But from a PvE perspective, which is what I would say most people do, you basically have to go back then. So after you've gotten done killing Archimond on LFR, and then you basically go back to wiping on Hellfire Assault on normal mode. And then finally you get through normal mode, and then it's like basically this feedback loop of repeating the same content over and over and over. Players that are joining the game right now don't really have any reason to go back and do High Maul, do Blackrock Foundry, and both of those, in my opinion, I know this might be unpopular, both of those were extremely great raids, and I would really prefer to see the progression model go back to Vanilla or to Burning Crusade, where some of the raids were raids were tiered and there weren't just like a bunch of different difficulties. Now Blizzard, I guess, has tried to funnel everybody into enjoying the same content at the same time, so everybody's doing Hellfire Citadel in one fashion or another. Back in Burning Crusade, there were Tier 4, T5, T6 guilds, and then Sunwell guilds, and everybody was kind of tiered out along the way. Now, some people didn't really get to see the content, and honestly, I know this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I don't really think that everybody should be able to see all of the content. And people say that they pay for the game. There are always like different things that you have to do in order to get to see certain content. Like you can't really kill Archimond unless you hit 100, and so you can use that logic at any real point. But I do think that once you kind of pay and buy the game, it doesn't really give you the right to be able to complete the game in its entirety and complete the end game and beat the last boss. I just don't really think it's very good. And also, if nothing else, it's not really good for a game that's built on subscriptions, which is built on keeping people into the game. Whenever you give people an easy way to beat the game in a month, what's the reason for them to keep subscribing to lose at the same thing that they've already beaten, but now it's just a little bit harder, competing for a different color palette of sword? It's just not really, why are we even surprised that people are quitting the game? And honestly, I think that that's really the biggest thing. And with the socialization, if you were to take a random sample of the entire population and look at the amount of people who I would say would be introverted, you'd take that and then compare that to a random sample of the World of Warcraft population and how many of them are introverted, I would say that there'd be a higher propensity or frequency of people who were introverted in the World of Warcraft that were playing World of Warcraft than in the general population. And the way that I'm phrasing it like that is because there are a lot of people who are social in real life, but also I would say that there are more people who are not really antisocial, but just introverted. They're not really, they don't have that propensity to interact with people. But World of Warcraft kind of gave people a safe space to interact with people, to have negative and positive experiences. And not only, it was required to, I guess, grow your character, but it helped you grow as an individual, and it helped a lot of people who were younger. It might have helped them get self-esteem, meet friends, like-minded people that they might not really have that option to in real life. That helped me, and I know it helped a lot of other people that I know that started the game at about the same time that I did. And so, that's another thing that socialization really, really brings into the game. There have always been content droughts, but whenever you have those other people that you log on to play with and you enjoy playing with them, it makes the content droughts a lot more enjoyable. Now, in terms of the end game, I think that really the problem with the end game is that all of the end game is, as I said before, is focused around going into Hellfire Citadel. No matter where, all paths lead to Hellfire Citadel. And of course, it always has been like that to an extent. But at this point, it's so far just all you do is Hellfire Citadel. I think it's just a little bit too much. What I would really like to see is more solo and 5-man content, and more than anything, I know that this is kind of, I don't really know how you guys feel about this, but I would like to see, as I said, on top of the tiered out raids, I would also like to see 10-man and, 10-man raids like ZA, like Karazhan brought back into the game, to where you can't just bring 30 people, and maybe they're a little bit easier with some time challenges, so there's like harder difficulties to get more people who are, I guess, like more hardcore to go into them, like the Bear Run or something like that, or Nightbane at the beginning of Karazhan. And I think that that would really kind of help get people back into, I guess, like the smaller group raiding, to where they have to interact with each other. And I know that people like don't really like the whole idea of like forcing interaction and forcing people to do anything. But as I said before, whenever you have people who are introverted in a way, it's not really you're not really forcing them. You're just kind of giving them the nudge, and it kind of helps facilitate that interaction. And when there isn't something to facilitate that interaction, it doesn't really occur. I found that a lot of people have told me that they don't really have any friends in the game and they don't really know why they're playing. And, back in Burning Crusade and in Vanilla, of course, there were some people like that, but it wasn't really as much the case. Now, if you look at the game from a casual player's perspective, and I'm going to use my mom as an example, the reason I use her as an example in a lot of these videos is because she's the exact, like, antithesis of me. Like, she does not raid ever. Okay, she never likes to really talk to a lot of people. She's in a guild and she has friends. She used to be in a guild. She used to raid sometimes, but making LFR and all of these easier ways to get into raiding has not really gotten her into raiding at all. Like, it hasn't really made her want to or anything like that. And so basically, she is completely like a solo player in a lot of regards. And in Burning Crusade, she was much more social, and so in Wrath of the Lich King, and especially in Vanilla, whenever she had more, I guess, like as I said before, more nudges to be social. But anyway, she's also kind of expressed pretty much the same concern that I have, that there's not really a whole lot to do in the game. And her and I talked about the new expansion recently, and she says, well, I really hope they make it fun again. And, for somebody who's also played the game for nearly 10 years, the same as I have, for her to say that coming from a completely different perspective, it really says something about, how they're really kind of, I guess like creating the different avenues for different types of players to enjoy the game. And, I think that there was like some sort of an idea with like a donut hole where, they used to design the game for the hardcore players, and then people would gravitate in and out of that donut hole as different things in their life occurred, like, getting married or something like that. And what Blizzard's done now, more than anything, is they still have like hardcore avenues, like with mythic rating and everything like that. But as I said before, a different color palette and maybe an achievement or something like that really isn't enough motivation to get people back into mythic rating. BRF, the tier sets, the mythic tier sets, were a really good start, and I was kind of disappointed that the Hellfire Citadel tier sets weren't really as the mythic tier sets weren't really as extravagant and fucking badass as the mythic BRF ones were. And so that really kind of sucks. But I think that the general thing is that casual players a lot of people don't really like to raid, and in order to progress your character, you have to raid. And so I would really like to see more things that didn't have to do with raiding in the game, and just more types of solo player progression. I think that almost everybody can agree that professions were better back in the day, and the Warlords of Draenor updates to professions were. A lot of people would really say that they were shitty, and it was a bad. I don't really know how to really say it. A lot of people didn't really like the way that professions were changed in Warlords of Draenor, including myself, and my mom feels the same way. Everybody else feels the same way as well. And so professions used to give players a single player progression experience, and now that's really kind of removed because everything is linked behind some sort of daily, you've got your missions where you have to wait, you've got your, work orders where you have to wait, all these things where it's just like kind of keep logging in, keep doing it, where you can't do it at your own pace because the game sets the pace for you. I don't really like that either, and I think a lot of people don't. What I hope in the new expansion will happen is that they'll kind of give the control and, the paths to progression back into the player's hands and take it away from, queuing systems or from, things like that are just kind of, I don't know. It's like, as I said before, it's not really an adventure. It's more of a theme park now. And honestly, guys, as I said, I've talked about a lot of this stuff before. I don't think there's really a whole lot in this video that I haven't said probably a dozen times before. And it's just really disappointing that it seems like the people who are developing Warcraft are focusing mostly on, keeping people playing the game, but not necessarily improving the player experience. And I'll use an example, is like somebody complained to one of the Heroes of the Storm developers that the Battle.net friends list was too small with 100 people, and that was fixed in like 24 hours. People in Warcraft have been complaining about that for years. There have been tons of people who have asked for a bigger friends list, and they've just disregarded those claims. And so, to have something that, is so crucial to Warcraft, be implemented just because of Heroes of the Storm, a completely different game, shows that, I don't know, like, I mean, I know that that's kind of sounds stupid, but it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and it seems like that the developers are focused more on just kind of keeping people playing the game rather than really improving the player experience. And I think that the player experience is very, 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 linked with social interaction and the idea of the adventure and the progression. And the game really just doesn't give that to people now. Obviously, 44% of the player base quit the game, and it's disappointing for me, and I think it's disappointing for everyone. And at least it's a little bit of vindication. I think that whenever one of these things happens, everybody likes to, think that it's because of their pet issue that the subscriber numbers are dropping, and maybe they'll change, what they don't like about the game. And so, like, I don't really like professions, let's say, and so, maybe it's because of professions, and so they'll change professions, and so it kind of makes it feel like your opinions on this are validated. But the fact of the matter is, with 4.4 million different people, you've got 4.4 million different reasons why they quit the game, and I just hope that Blizzard uses that information that they have of why people are quitting and all that stuff to really make a good expansion next time, because I know that they really kind of burned a lot of bridges and ruined a lot of goodwill that they had with Warlords of Draenor, especially with like announcing these things like Karabor being the main city, being able to go into Karabor, being able to place your garrison wherever you want, a lot of the different Ashran stuff, Tana and Jungle, Farallon. Honestly, the list can go on. There are a lot of things that happened in Warlords of Draenor. Oh, Grom Hellscream, the legendary Gorehowl axe that was data mined in the game, and it's still a gray item that says legendary drop from Grom Hellscream. I don't really know why that's a gray in the game, but it sure seems like something was cut. And so all these things have been cut from the expansion, and so on Thursday, I think that there's going to be a lot of people who, even if they do, hear like these amazing, great things, they're still going to be very hesitant to buy the new expansion, because this Warlords of Draenor didn't deliver on what Blizzard said it would deliver whenever it was announced. And so I'm just hoping that, it does deliver this time, and that they said they have more people working on World of Warcraft than ever. I love this game. I've been playing, since 2006, and it's been probably one of the only like constants throughout my life the whole time. And I really want to see it get better, and that's honestly why I keep making these videos. And sometimes it feels like I'm just beating my head against the wall, but occasionally they might do something that maybe I thought of, not really because of me, but it always feels good whenever something that you want happens, even if it's not because of you. And so hopefully it'll happen this time. Maybe it won't. I'm not sure. So let me know if you've quit. Let me know why you quit. If you're still playing, let me know why you're still playing. Either way, I want to know, because I don't really know what I can do with this information. If I could have like a way that I could tell Blizzard, like, yo, check this out, or talk to them or something like that, I would do it in a heartbeat. But I just don't really know what I could do. But if you guys do, if you guys know somebody at Blizzard, let them know, that you're not having fun and why. It's really important that they know why, and hopefully they'll change it, but maybe they won't. We'll see. On Thursday, I'm looking forward to the new expansion release, announcement. But again, because of the Warlords of Draenor and all the cuts they had to make, I just really hope that everything that they announce, because it's going to sound cool. It's probably going to sound really cool. I just hope that it all actually makes it into the game. So guys, that's pretty much all I've got. Bad news, but hopefully it'll get better. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, subscribe.